I've never really done these types of videos before and will probably never again, but here we go. There's been something bugging me for quite a while now, and yet I haven't really brought it up. It's the fact that Nodens is SSS on the official tier list that most people are encouraged to look at. No one has ever brought up any complaints about him still being SSS, which I find strange. It might seem it's because many people still think he's worthy of the SSS tier from how much he's praised, but in my honest opinion, he shouldn't have been SSS from the start. Yeah, it's quite a controversial opinion, but I obviously have my reasons. Now, let's take a look at his set. Chaotic and Fantasy Tribe, which are both extremely rarely killered in Quest, and the current Fantasy killers aren't even lethal yet. 7.7k HP, 5.1k attack, and 4.1k rec. Overall, really balanced stats. He can do decent damage with that immense CP and help a lot in healing with that 4k rec. Now his skill converts the center into large CPs, red, greens, and damage panels to blues, and he gives all units timer and blue multi-chain, and one extra tap for 3 turns at a cooldown of 7. Seems very decent on paper, but it's just screaming for him to need a combo, as a single color multi-chain often doesn't get you any chains at all without palms clearing out the board. So he's basically almost useless when used alone. Now that timer chain is actually one of the worst features of his kit. Timers, you know, that one gimmick that is annoying but actually super easy to deal with bombs and rarely used in stages as a Skyfall gimmick? Yeah, that. His timer chain is extremely niche due to those factors, which is his downfall. Nodens is placed in the SSS tiers, which generally means he's great for general content, but I don't think timers are part of general content. His skill barely does anything at all, and there are much better options over him for blue combos. His 3-turn uptime usually outlasts most blue drop manipulation skills, as they are generally 2 turns, although it can be argued the extra turn of his uptime can be used to prep or heal, I guess. Now his abilities, damage panel break, which is good as blues are often just plagued with protect breakers, and red DP stages are rather common. When he's in front and breaks 10 or more timers, he gets an attack boost. Now obviously this is his worst ability, needing him to be in front, breaking 10 or more timers, which is usually only achieved with timer Skyfall, and the attack boost isn't even that significant. He might as well not even have this ability, and nothing would change really. Now his ability locked behind bugs, every floor he gets -2 cooldown. Hates is one of the most powerful abilities in the game, and it's always nice to see it on a unit. This is actually one of his more redeeming qualities. It gives him more options to be paired with other units on the team rather than just solely depending on a single combo partner, as his haste allows him to be more flexible in skill cooldown. You obviously would not use the multi-chain as a source of short cooldown healing damage. That's why you would combo him. And his last ability allows him to gain handshake when a fantasy unit is in front. I mean, as we all know, fantasy is the current meta tribe, thus having fantasy synergy and being fantasy himself, Nodens has some sort of value, but certainly does not deserve all that recognition he's been getting so far. Great stats, decent skill when paired with other drop manipulation units, but near useless alone and -2 cooldown every floor. Does that sound like an SSS unit to you? The lack of stat counters, minor CPL conversion size which barely makes up for the lack of damage output he does by himself, and part of his skill and an ability devoted to an irrelevant gimmick, which would need as a Skyfall for maximum potential. It sounds far from a unit good for general content. Now, I'm not trying to trash Nodens, but just saying he's really overrated. Chain has fallen off really quick, unless it's 2 colors, and Nodens only has 1 color chain with really bare bones side effects in his skill. Many people are still fond of him due to a lot of biasness, which I do have to point out. When he was inducted into the SSS tier, Foucault's debut arrived after some time, and she was placed at SS for the time being, when she's literally a better Nodens, providing dual stat counters and very nice abilities, which aren't locked to specific scenarios. She lacks haste but has a cooldown of 6, which just makes her lose on 1 turn. CP drop and 1 color completely falling as blues. This essentially means she has 2 color chain, but after all that she was placed at SS at that time. Another unit which not many compared to Nodens is aaaaa. Aaaaa actually counters a relevant stat gimmick and provides all units regardless of color damage panel break. His abilities are actually useful, but he's SS and Nodens is SSS? Nodens does have the upper hand on stats, but that's because he's a 58 cost, whereas aaaaa are 55 cost. Neither of them counter stat down, which makes their skill very much comparable. Although Nodens has tap up, aaaaa actually has a secondary gimmick counter via their junk to CP conversion, but Nodens has DP conversion when he already breaks DP. Nodens may have that haste, but apparently haste isn't much of a factor to get SSS. I'm not trying to say aaaaa should be SSS, but pointing out Nodens should not be SSS. And I also have nothing against the people who rate these units on the tier list, but more like how they are rated. Nodens lacks the ability to increase survivability. Aside from that high recovery, does not have a powerful skill effect, has little utility due to the fact his skill converts DP when he's already DP break, and Timer Skyfall is really niche. His solo skill potential is a fucking joke, and combo potential is just being able to chain one color with much better options like Bomb Drop and CP Drop. Does Nodens look broken to you compared to other SSS tier units? Does he look like a first choice for a unit you would bring the most general content and even off color? Yeah, me too, thanks.